Alright, so today I thought I might as well talk about that 90s show, which I just watched on Netflix this last week. It was, of course, released this last week, and is, of course, the sequel series to that 70s show, not counting that 80s show, which I had only seen one episode of, and I thought it was pretty bad. But I will watch that eventually, because I am a completionist. And it's only one season, so it's not that long anyways, but this is, of course, the sequel to that 70s show. And it has Red and Kitty back as, honestly, the main stars. They're the top billed. They're in it as much as these new kids. But this also has cameos from everybody from that 70s show except for Hyde, who, of course, Danny Masterson has been in court cases with things that he has done that have not been good. So he's not in this, of course. Hyde is not in the show. But also these characters from that 70s show, besides Red and Donna, are really not in the show that much. They're basically just cameos. This really focuses on these new kids that are the kids of some of the characters from that 70s show. Leia, the main girl, is Eric and Donna's daughter. And you've got Jay, who is a Kelso, who's Michael and Jackie's kid. So you've got those two as the connective tissue to being the new kids, but everybody else is like not related, I don't think. You've also got Nikki and Nate, who are a couple. You've got Ozzy, who's the over-the-top gay one. You have Gwen, who's the rock star. And like I said, with Nate and Nikki, they're both really just kind of like, I can't really think of much to describe them, honestly. They're just a couple, I guess, if that makes sense. I'll say this. I didn't hate the show. I didn't hate the show at all. I thought it was totally serviceable. But it's kind of a disservice because I've been rewatching that 70s show in preparation for that 90s show, and I only watched the first season again. And I've seen that show before, and I love that 70s show. It's one of my favorite comedies. So it felt like a disservice watching that while watching that 90s show, because this is definitely not as good. All these new characters, it's weird because usually and I said this with the Avatar 2, where you've got these characters that are supposed to be kids of the main characters from the last thing. So like Avatar 2 is the kids from the people from Avatar. This is the kids from that 70s show. Usually whenever they have that cliche, it bothers me, like in Disney sequels where it's like, oh, it's the kids of the main characters that are exactly the same. And this one I didn't hate these new characters, but they really didn't like stick with me in terms of memorable. I thought that Leia was, in terms of the look of her and the look of Jay Kelso, they look just like their adult parent counterparts. That's hilarious. That's really cool. The guy that looks like the guy who plays Jay Kelso looks just like Ashton Kutcher, and it is genuinely surprising just looking at that actor. And Leia looks a lot like Donna and Eric, and that is really cool. They just did a really good job on their studying up with finding actors and actresses that look so much like them, and I thought that was awesome. I thought that Leia was a fine character. I thought that she was the most interesting out of the new kids. Nikki and Nate, I think, are the more forgettable ones, if I had to pick, like, in terms of the characters that are new. Gwen, I think I liked too, but she just kind of looked like Zazie Beetz. But I don't really remember that much about her character besides she's like a rocker. And of course it's in the 90s, so of course they've got that. Ozzy is the character that I could see a lot of people getting annoyed by because this character is so over the top. He's definitely the Fez of the group because he's the outcast character. In this case, this guy is gay, and he is extremely over the top and points it out a lot. Which is not like a thing that annoyed me in that way, but he's such a different character compared to the other ones, where he's just so over the top, you know? Like, you see him more being more over the top than these other characters. And I guess that makes sense to make it kind of memorable because I do remember that character now, but I didn't dislike him, but I just thought he was kind of over the top in a way where it was like too much over the top, if that makes sense. It was great to see all the old characters back, even though they're not in the show much. And I guess that's not a bad thing because this is not going to be that 70s show again. But seeing these characters back, it did make me smile. Seeing Eric and Donna back was great. Seeing Kelso and Jackie was great, even though that was very brief for those two. And Fez has the most screen time in terms of the old characters, the old gang. He literally has a connection with Sherry, who's the mom of Nate and Gwen, I think. I don't know if I'm mixing them up, but I think Nate and Gwen. She's the mom of Nate and Gwen, and she's funny. I thought she had some good lines. I thought that she was a good foil to having a next door neighbor to Red and Kitty, and where Red gets annoyed at her, like he did with how he did in the old show with Bob. So I think that's great. No mention of Midge, I don't think. Her actress died in real life, Tanya Roberts, and there was no mention of her, I don't believe, unless I missed it. You also didn't get a reference to Lisa Robin Kelly, Eric's sister. You didn't get a mention of her either, and she had died in real life as well. So it's weird not getting their mentions. Bob gets one episode where he's in it a little bit. One of the biggest smiles I got from the old characters was Leo, Cheech, which I thought was, it was Tommy Chong, not Cheech, sorry. He was genuinely funny. I liked how how Kitty and Leia went up to Leo, and they're like, we need the tape of Clerks, and he's like, are you cops? And they're like, no, we're not, we're blah blah blah. And he's like, okay, well, watch out for those cops, man, they're after me. like that stuff's funny, and I'm kind of paraphrasing that line, but I thought it was a really funny line. Like, I thought that seeing Tommy Chong again was great. I thought he was genuinely funny, and I did like all the main cast be back in some way, shape, or form, besides Hyde, which, like I said, is still going into court with the real-life allegations of abuse and assault, or sexual abuse and assault, I believe. So, of course, they didn't mention his character at all, so I wonder if they're going to mention later, if he does go to prison, the actor, that they'll say Hyde went to prison, because that actually would fit with Hyde's character in the show, because Hyde was the delinquent character. So that would be funny. But yeah, pretty much I thought that the show was solid enough in ways with seeing the old cast back with some of the new characters. I liked Leia, I liked Jay. I didn't mind Gwen. Ozzy was hit and miss. Nikki and Nate I thought were kind of whatever. You also get Brian Austin Green in this too, randomly in a cameo from I think he was in 90210, but I just know who the actor is. I've never seen 90210, but they had like a 90210 stream sequence, which is kind of like something they would do in that 70s show for a 70s show, which is interesting. But I thought that it was fine. This was totally serviceable. It's not anything I hated. I enjoyed it okay. I'll definitely watch the second season. I know they're going to renew another one. Like, I feel like they're going to already, or have already announced it. But I love that 70s show. I knew this one wasn't going to get the same kind of love that I felt for that one, but that's fine. I thought that this was solid enough. It was totally serviceable. It was cool seeing the gang back in small ways. So I enjoyed it overall. It wasn't too bad. But yeah, pretty much that's it for that 90s show. And I'll see you guys in the next review. Take care.